So let the camera roll. Me and my bro, it's the Poff Pass Show. And that's in production, man. Solano Sports Network. Let's go. We coming in live. Yeah, here we go. We are live, giving you another episode of Poff Pass, but we're switching it up a little bit. Today, it's not the Poff Pass Show. It's the Poff Stosh Pass Show.
Hey.
We are bringing you all of the latest action of all the October playoffs coming up in the MLB, and we have a lot to talk about. So, to start off the playoff prediction right, we have to start with the first playoff series we saw, and that was an epic game between the St. Louis Cardinals, between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds. Of course, all these division teams are the same to me because they're all legitimate, and what a way to start off the baseball series and the baseball playoffs with this matchup right here. And if you look at this game, it was an epic game. Stosh, what did you actually think of the game last night?
You know what? It's been 21 years since the Buccos have been in the playoffs.
21.
These fans have been waiting for it for a long time. You know, they came out in full force, packed house, standing room only. And you know what? They played a huge role in this game. Right there, you see Marlon Byrd hit a home run in the bottom of the second inning. And after that, the fans started digging into Cueto, yelling, Cueto.
Cueto.
And you can see here, Cueto literally drops the ball.
Uh-oh, good job, good effort.
You know what? And then right after that pitch, Russell Martin hits a home run, 2 home runs in the bottom of the second, and it was smooth sailing for the Pirates.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And if you're a Pittsburgh fan right now, you're not too happy about the Steelers. So to see the Pittsburgh Pirates, after a 20-year drought, do what they did last night, finally getting a chance to get a taste of October baseball, they did it in fashion. It was really quite a joy to see. Also, to top it off, Marlon Byrd, that was his first playoff at bat, and he takes them deep. That's how you get it done, Pittsburgh. And the next series coming up is going to be a battle, which we'll talk about later. So now that you have a picture of what actually happened in the wild card, let's actually dive into some of the matchups, and you know which matchup we have to start with. Uh-oh, my boy raising the rally towel.
There we go,
I know
baby.
all you Oakland fans out there watching this on the local Fairfield channel are probably getting pumped up. Stosh, let's talk about what the Oakland fans are going to bring. How much of a home field advantage do you actually think Oakland's going to have in this matchup?
You know, of all the teams in the playoffs, Oakland has the biggest home field advantage. They are 52-29 at home this season.
Wow.
And they are the 12th man. Seattle has their 12th man. Nah, They don't compare to how crazy these fans are. They come out in force. The whole time you hear drums, you hear fans yelling, screaming. It's just a very unique place to play. A hard hitter's ballpark. A lot of foul ball territory, which pitchers don't like. They do love it. Hitters don't like it so much. It's cold. It's miserable. There's sewage in the dugouts all the time.
Yeah.
Players getting locked in the dugout, in the bathroom dugouts. Oh,
I think that's what's impressive. You have all the things wrong with the stadium, and it doesn't matter because when the A's are playing good baseball, the fans come out to support them. And my boy here has been in a lot of those games also, too. So, yeah, I agree with you. Home field is definitely going to play a part in this matchup right here.
Yes, it is. You know what? But how good is this Tigers rotation?
That's a good question, and I think, of course, when you look at the rotation, you have to start with Scherzer. He has 21 wins this year, only 3 losses, but a key thing to remember about this rotation is the Detroit lineup can actually get runs on the board, so it's kind of when you look at the numbers, actually, they're not that great of a rotation, especially Verlander this year. If I'm correct, he is 12-13 right now, not even over 500. So if you compare what the rotation did last year to this year, I really think this rotation is sliding off a little bit, and if you compare it to what the A's can do in that lineup, watch out. This is not going to be a dominating starting pitching that we're going to see coming out of Detroit. I think it's going to be a little bit shaky too. One thing to point out, though, the Detroit Tigers are top 10 in every category in baseball. They're 9th in ERA, 1st in quality starts, 9th in WHIP, and 8th in ERA. So then again, when you look at the rankings in baseball, this team can get the job done. So it's a good question, and we'll see what happens. But I don't think they're going to be as dominant as people actually expect.
You know what? Max Scherzer, 21-game winner.
Yeah.
Hands down, going to win the Cy Young this year. Justin Verlander had a down year, but hey, he's still Justin Verlander. Then you got Anibal Sanchez, who won the ERA title this year.
Yeah.
Then you have Doug Fister, who's a 14-game winner. But you know what? I'm not too afraid of it for Oakland. We went into Detroit, faced all four of these pitchers, and beat all 4 of them. That 4th game, we should have won. We lost in a walk-off.
Yeah.
But you know what? what Raul Ibanez said about, 14-year veteran in the league, plays for the Mariners. What he said about the Oakland team is he's never seen a more grittier team that wants to win more than Oakland.
And what you want in the playoffs is a gritty team who plays together, and that's one thing Oakland has proven. So it's going to be a great matchup. Speaking of pitching, now let's flip it over and look at the A's, but not at the starting rotation. I think a big, well, not question mark, but big question we need to ask is, how good is the A's bullpen?
Balfour Rage, baby. There we go. Grant Balfour, the closer for the Oakland A's. When he gets that adrenaline pumping, especially with this Oakland crowd doing the Balfour Rage, he is just an animal on the mound. He's yelling, he's screaming, he's spitting, he's just furious. But then you got Sean Doolittle come in the 7th inning, hard throwing lefty, high 90s, throws it high and tight. He's developed an off-speed pitch to go with that hard fastball. He's a converted outfielder, which is surprisingly. Great 7th inning guy. You have Ryan Cook coming in the 8th, another dominant guy who's going to be our future closer if we can't sign Grant Balfour again. But these guys are just unbelievable. They have the fewest walks of any AL bullpen and have the second best ERA in the AL, behind, of course, Detroit.
Yeah. But still, if you look at what their bullpen has done all year, especially in Oakland, I definitely think it's going to be a good matchup for Oakland. I definitely think this is going to be a series worth watching. Well, pretty much every series we're about to talk about today. Cool.
He's got some good baseball coming up. But the question that looms around this Tigers offense is, how healthy is Miguel Cabrera?
That's a great question, and one thing to remember is no matter how hurt this guy is, he's a Triple Crown winner from last year and almost got it again this year, so he's going to play no matter what. The question to answer is, how healthy is he actually? And he's actually not doing that well right now. In fact, I have a quote from Leland. He's in a lot of pain. In fact, people don't even realize how much pain he is in right now, quote unquote. So even the manager is recognizing just how much of a health issue, at least much pain this is causing to Cabrera. But I don't think it's going to factor into how much he succeeds. I do think it's going to more factor into his base running and how much bases he's going to be able to get, with all of us know how much power he has too. So the injury will play a factor, but it's not going to take him out. And you still want to be pretty nervous when you see Cabrera at the plate.
But a groin injury is something that takes a long time to heal. And like a lot of players, it affects their swing just a little bit. He hit 333 in September, which, 333 is pretty good.
Not too shabby.
But for Miguel Cabrera, he only had 2 extra base hits and 1 home run the month of September and 72 at-bats.
Not Cabrera numbers.
Not Cabrera numbers. That's not what we like to see for him.
So, yeah, I agree. Cabrera, there's going to be a question mark there, but you can definitely count on him playing in this series. And another question we want to throw out there, now that we've been talking about health, how healthy do you actually think Cespedes is going to be when he plays in this series?
You know what? Cespedes is a big game player. Look at him in the home run derby this year. He stepped up and just blew away the competition. Everybody's been hyping him up. He had a down season, still had a pretty good season, But now it's October baseball, a brand new season. He has that nagging shoulder injury, but put him on the DH and just let him swing the bat. Watch him hit these moonshots off this Detroit pitching, power versus power. And power hitting always wins.
Always wins. Well, that's pretty much our coverage for the Detroit-Oakland series. Now, we're going to shift it over to the National League and get to my boys in blue, still doing damage. This is going to be another great series because if you look at these two teams, I think they've been two of the hottest teams in baseball right now. Atlanta pretty much took the division 2 months ago, and then, of course, the Los Angeles Dodgers ran away with it pretty much in the month of September, and this is going to be another battle that I cannot look forward to. Similar to what we talked about earlier with Pittsburgh, the Dodgers have not done much damage in the playoffs, and the last time they pulled out a ring was '88. So the last time I got to see my team win, I was 2 in diapers. So it's cool to see them have a chance. Now, fast forward 25 years later, at the age of 27, I'm looking forward to this matchup right here.
Did you watch that World Series with your Baba?
Oh, yeah. I watched with my Baba and Papa. So it was awesome to watch, man, I think.
Now breaking down this Dodger-Brave series, how good is this Dodger rotation?
Oh, good is an underestimated word. When you're talking about the best pitcher in baseball, the best athlete in baseball, you have to give props to Mr. Clayton Kershaw. When you can pull a 1.8 3.52 ERA throughout the season, and you can win game after game, and we both know this guy can pitch in the playoffs also. When we look at his playoff record in the past, Kershaw is single-handedly the best pitcher in baseball. I'll take him over Scherzer. I'll take him over whoever you throw in front of me. This guy's bringing his A game, and when you have a monster like that, a part of a three-headed monster, you're going to do damage. Some other numbers for you, too. Greinke right now has a 2.63 ERA and is 15-4. These guys are bringing their A game, and comparing that to Atlanta's starting rotation, I'll take these three Dodgers all day, every day. And that third Dodger I'm talking about is Mr. Ryu, who's also been a beast. 3.20 ERA as a rookie, mind you, because this is his first year in the major leagues. And also on top of that, 14-8 record. These three are going to get the job done for the Dodgers, and I think are the three best pitchers, at least rotation-wise, in baseball. Because if you add Kershaw, no one's going to bring his A game like him. And don't even forget Nolasco, who also with the Dodgers went 8-3 and an ERA of 3.52. These guys have different men in the starting rotation that are going to get the job done. And I will put money on that, at least on Kershaw picking up 2 wins in this series. Another question we got to talk about, though, we've gone all over Kershaw and his ability to be the ace. How about the Atlanta Braves? Who is their ace, actually, and is their ace going to be able to bring his A game in this series?
You know, that's something that very worries me about this Braves team. They lost Tim Hudson early in the year to that nasty ankle injury, and he was the only pitcher on this team that had playoff experience because they had that one-game wild card play-in, which they lost, Chipper Jones' last game, unfortunately. But you know what? Coming out of the top of their rotation, their ace has to be Chris Medlin. Chris Medlin is 5-0 in his last 6 starts, 4 earned runs, 0 home runs, and 43 innings pitched. One scout actually got quoted saying he has his confidence back. He's ready to roll. He's back to being Chris Medlin. Also coming up with this, we have Mike Minor, Julio Teheran, Paul Maholm, who at least they all won 10 games this season.
Yeah, they get the job done.
And only the Cardinals had more NL wins from their starting pitching.
So it's definitely going to be a battle. I think one thing to point out, too, Medlin's last start, he went 8 scoreless innings against the Phillies. So I agree with you. I think Medlin's their starter. But you compare Medlin, how he's been hot late in the year, to Kershaw dominating all year, that's why I'm taking the Dodgers in the series. And I would take their starting rotation over Medlin. But I agree, Medlin's the guy coming out of that starting rotation.
Yeah, but one thing I did want to touch on about Clayton Kershaw, he had a 1.83 ERA.
Boom.
Lowest ERA since Pedro Martinez in 2000 with a 1.74. By lowest since Greg Maddux in 1995 at 1.63. And Kershaw touched the likes of greatness this year, with joining Sandy Koufax as the only 2 pitchers in the National League to win 3 straight ERA titles.
As a Dodger fan, when you're bringing up Sandy's numbers, you're doing something spectacular in that jersey, and that's exactly what Kershaw's been doing ever since he put on the white and blue.
Well, staying with the Dodgers here, what will the Dodgers do with their outfield, losing their superstar, Matt Kemp?
Yeah, it's going to be a big question mark for them. Another thing to point out, too, is Ethier's also not healthy. So this is what I think for the Dodgers. Obviously, Yasiel Puig is definitely going to be starting and definitely going to be in the outfield. You can also count on Carl Crawford being in the outfield, too. What they're going to have to end up doing is they're going to basically have to rotate Skip Schumacher and Jerry Hairston. And I think these 2 guys have been legitimate guys coming off the bench and legitimate guys who can hit solid and get the job done. So I think they're going to be rotating those 2, and also they'll be pinch hitting with Ethier, so they'll have Ethier coming off the bench too. The key is, can Schumacher and Jerry Hairston get those key hits to keep the lineup going and to keep other big bats in the lineup to do some damage, like Hanley Ramirez, Gonzo, and so on. So we'll see what happens. The good thing is, though, that Atlanta also has some issues too. So now I want to ask you, what do you think Atlanta's going to actually do with their outfield situation and some of the problems they've had with their outfilders?
You know, they picked up BJ and Justin Upton over the offseason. Justin Upton has been having a monstrous season. The beginning of the year, he was my vote for MVP. He kind of tailed off the second half of the season, but he's still a force. BJ, not so well. But you have this guy coming in named Evan Gattis. He's a catcher. But you have Brian McKenna catcher, but Evan Gattis has been one of their hottest hitters all year. You have to put him in the outfield.
I agree.
He's a subpar defenseman, but you have to play him. Hands down. So I'll put Hayward in center, Upton in right, and Gattis in left. That's mine right there.
And if you look at it, one of the biggest issues Atlanta's had is trying to figure out, should we start McCain and deal with his health issues, or should we rely on Gattis? Why not just take both? Take the little bit you lose on defense, because Gattis has some great numbers this year, and you just can't take that power out of the lineup and leave it just for pinch hit opportunities. You got to keep that in there and let him get his at-bat. So I totally agree with you. I think that's what they'll do. And I'm guessing they'll probably involve some pinch hitting with B.J. Upton, since he's been struggling this year.
Well, he's batting a 183.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the second lowest on the team. The first lowest was their second baseman, Dan Ugla, their highest paid player, and he didn't even make the roster.
Wow.
I mean, that's like a slap in the face. Reminds me of Barry Zito from 2010.
Yeah,
That's
nice
a very,
comparison.
very sad right there. Very sad. Now, to end up on the fifth question here in the Braves-Dodgers series, how good is the Braves bullpen?
Man, honestly, if you look at this bullpen, there's definitely an argument that they're the best bullpen in baseball. To start off, when you have a closer like Kimbrel who can come in and just bring the heat time after time, this guy is definitely one of the best closers in baseball, if not the best. For starters, when we're looking at Medlin, he had a 1.21 ERA when he comes in to close the game. And we all know one of the hardest things to do in baseball is to come into a game and pitch lights out and end the game, and he's been doing that all year for the Braves. Another stat, he has 50 saves this season. So when you hit the 5-0 mark when it comes into closing games, you're definitely doing your job. And another thing with Atlanta, too, they have a bunch of other guys who can come in, get holds for your team, and stop the other team from scoring in those 7th, 8th innings. Just some guys to throw out there for you. You have Luis Avila, who's one of the hold leaders in baseball, meaning he is one of the best at stopping teams from scoring in those 7th and 8th innings and holding a lead for his team. Another guy who's really been getting the job done is Scott Downs, who actually believe they traded with Anaheim earlier in the year, and he's coming into Atlanta and also shut out late innings. So when you look at this bullpen, they're one of the best bullpens in baseball, and they're lights out. The key with the Dodgers, though, is if the starting rotation can hold up, they won't even have to worry about Atlanta's bullpen in the first place. And I think that's going to be one of the key differences. Is the starting rotation for the Dodgers going to hold up, or is Atlanta going to be able to keep up with them and then later in games when the score's tied or they have a slight lead, be able to close out with their bullpen? I think that's really what this series is going to come down to.
You know what? Starting pitching is going to be keys for the Braves, like you're saying. They need to keep their team in the game by letting their bullpen to come in. They had a 2.46 ERA as a bullpen combined all year, and only the Tigers have fewer bullpen innings than the Braves, and which means they're nice and rested. And like you said, Kimbrel, he's virtually unhittable. I mean, that guy he came out of nowhere. He's a rocket arm. It's going to be a very exciting series to watch. I can't wait. You know, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great.
It's really basically the best starting rotation versus the best bullpen. And then you throw in the lineups, which I think are pretty much equal when it comes to power, batting and runs, things like that. This should be a great series. But like I've always said this, it's starting pitching that usually gets you the ring in October, and that's why I'm riding my boys in blue out for this series in particular.
The way I feel that Dodgers can have to win this series, if your boy Yasiel Puig gets hot like when he first came up. If he gets hot, there's no stopping the Dodger train. But if he doesn't, if he struggles out the gate, you got to look from other guys to step up and really come up with some big hits, big home runs to keep them in the game and get a big jump on the young starting pitching for the Atlanta Braves.
Bam.
Well, let's move on. Let's go over to the AL East champions and in the Boston Red Sox. Boston strong. There's something crazy going on there.
Yeah.
You know, they have some crazy beards. They got a stellar lineup, stellar pitching from last year being bottom of the barrel, just a disgrace to baseball, to now getting a new manager, bringing in a guy like Johnny Gomes, who helped establish the A's last year, bring in the we can win mentality.
Yeah.
I believe that the Boston has 14 walk-offs this year.
I know it's in double digits, not quite sure, but I mean, when you have double-digit walk-offs, you're doing something special in that stadium, or just in general for getting the W.
Yep.
Yeah, the thing with Boston is if you look at this lineup, it is dirty. I mean, it is dirty from hitter number 1 to hitter number 9. When you have guys like Pedroia, Ortiz, also
Jacoby Ellsbury.
Jacoby Ellsbury has done work for them, and Victorino has really come in and given them a spark compared to how he played in L.A. Trust me, I can tell you that. Boston has done some real damage with this lineup. And another thing, too, is they made some pretty good moves to, boost that starting pitching up. I really think Boston is a team to look out for. And the way things are going, shout out to my homie Brian over there. He's nodding his head. I really think Boston is actually going to end up making the World Series, but we'll get to that later.
Hey.
Yeah.
We're not getting ahead of ourselves
here
now.
We'll get to plenty of that later. But if you look at this lineup and you look at what their starting rotation has been able to do, Boston's a scary team to look out for.
John Lester, I mean, he's going game 1.
Yeah.
That's going to be a very good series right there.
And we're still not quite sure who they're going to end up playing, Tampa Bay or Cleveland. But if I had to pick, I think Boston's going to end up winning that series.
Oh, of course. I would like to see Cleveland come in and dominate, of course. I want to see Terry Francona, Tito, as we call him, to come in and just put it to his old team.
It's like you said earlier, too, from what Boston's status was last year to this year, to make such a quick turnaround, and when everyone doubted them, has really been impressive, and Boston has proven they're a team back in contention to try and get another ring. We'll see what happens. So now that we've looked at the AL, I guess we might as well look at the NL winner, who will eventually be playing the Pittsburgh Pirates, and that is the St. Louis Cardinals. And if you want to talk about a complete team, the first team that usually comes to mind is the St. Louis Cardinals. This team is stacked from either guys in the bullpen or guys in the lineup, and they can get it done on both sides of the ball. So this is going to be another matchup to look out for.
It's going to be exciting to watch the Cardinals. They're in it every year. They come up with a good team every year. They're well coached, well managed, all the way up to the GM, to their scouts, to their farm system, everything about them. I mean, Matt Holliday, Carlos Beltran.
The lineup goes on and on.
Oh, I can
you
just
have
keep
Carpenter, who's had a great year. And what's great, if you have a guy like Alan Craig who gets hurt, guess what? No problem. We can bring a guy like Adams in to hit bombs on you all day. This St. Louis team really doesn't have a weakness, and they're actually really scary. And we haven't even got to the starting rotation yet. For starters, when you have Adam Wainwright on your team, I believe he's 19-9 this year, that's money in the bank. And when you also have a guy like Lynn, who's really been pitching as well of late, they really have guys in the starting rotation that can get it done too. So this is a scary team that really doesn't have any weaknesses, but I'm eager to see them play a hot Pittsburgh team coming off a big W. It's going to be another great series.
I would like to see Pittsburgh win this series, but it's highly undoubtful because the Cardinals always go. They stretch it out. I mean, they made it to the NLCS last year against the Giants. They won the World Series the year before. Carlos Beltran, what I was going to touch on earlier, can arguably be one of the best playoff hitters of all time.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be swinging the bat in October. And just to look at their history, I mean, how they dealt with Pujols in that past, and they're still in this position now, just shows you how good of an overall team they are. Not just talking about the lineup and the pitching, but also talking about the management, as you touched on earlier. This is a team ready to go in October. And another thing, too, they have a ton of playoff experience.
Yes.
These are a bunch of guys in that lineup. David Freese, who was just the MVP, I believe, 2 years ago. They have a lot of guys who've been there, and I believe that's why they're going to have a nice run in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens.
They're going to be exciting.
Now, should we get to it?
We should get to it. Here we go. We'll touch on the ALCS. Who do you have coming into the ALCS?
This was tough, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be Tampa Bay, and I think they're going to end up winning that wild card. And then, of course, they're going to be going up against Boston. I touched on it earlier that Boston is just too nasty of a team where I think they're going to lose to Tampa Bay. But the one X factor that Tampa Bay has is starting pitching. If their starting rotation can somehow minimize the damage of Boston, I think they'll have a chance. But if I had to pick a team right now, I'm taking Boston in 4. That lineup's too dirty, and that starting rotation has also done a nice job for them. And they play lights out at home. I think Boston is going to take this one in 4 games.
You know what? I have Boston coming into the ALCS also. But then I have the Tigers losing to my Oakland A's 3 games to 1. We'll win both games at home. Lose 1 game in Detroit, win 1 game in Detroit. We'll move on. Boston A's, ALCS is going to be great. I have the A's winning 4-2. You know why? Just because this team is hungry, we're gritty, and we show fight. We never say die. You know what? If Boston and Oakland are cut from the same mold, as in mentality. They never say die. They love to win. They don't like to lose. They're never out of any game. Look at the A's. The A's have been down multiple times in the 9th inning. You see them. I'll go back. This is what really signified the A's this year to me. We're in the 16th inning against the Yankees, bases loaded, 2 outs, with the greatest closer of all time in Mariano Rivera up. And we have our 6'8" rookie first baseman, Nate Fryman out of Duke. He steps up, hits a broken bat single in the left field, and we win that game. I can go on and on here, but the A's will make it to the World Series. And that's, And I'm taking them all the way. You can call me a homer. You can call me whatever you want. I'm sticking with my boys. I've watched them all season long. I see their potential. And they haven't hit their full stride yet. We've had good pitching at times. We've had good hitting at times. Just wait till what we're going to see. Sonny Gray is my pitcher to watch out for this. It's his debut. It's his debut.
And the way to get your name known is to step up and pitch big games in October. We'll see if he's able to do it. Yeah, I agree with you. I really think the AL division is up for grabs. I think Boston's going to win that first round, and I'm actually going to take the Tigers, but I think it's a toss-up. I really do. The only reason I think the Tigers have a slight edge is that lineup is dirty, but we talked about it earlier. If Cabrera cannot be effective, I think the A's will win that series, but I just think Detroit is too much starting pitching, so I'm taking Detroit against Boston, and I think Boston is going to end up making the World Series run. But the AL is a toss-up to me, and I would not be surprised if the A's, Boston, even Tampa Bay, if made the World Series, would not surprise me that much. Now that we've covered the AL, I guess we should switch it over to the NL. And you know if you're taking your A's, well, I'm taking my Dodgers. Let's look at the first round. Now, we've touched on it earlier. The Dodgers, I think, have the best starting rotation in baseball, and they're going to be able to test that rotation, of course, against the Atlanta Braves, and I think they're going to win that series. I said it earlier, starting pitching is going to be the difference. The Dodgers will get by Atlanta, and I think they'll get by them in 4. You're going to see at least 2 wins from Kershaw, and I think Greinke will pick up the other one. I will see if Atlanta gets a game or not. After that series, it's going to be Dodgers-St. Louis. Cardinals, I definitely think are going to beat Pittsburgh. They're too experienced. And when the Dodgers play the Cardinals, look for one of the best playoff series ever. But in 7, I'm taking my boys in blue to make a stride to the World Series. And I think their starting rotation is going to be what gets them there. I'm taking Dodgers in Boston. Bring on the battle. Bring on the fun. We'll show you how Brooklyn/LA gets it done now against our old East Coast rival. It's going to be great.
You know what? After last night's game, I prepared this last night. After watching Pittsburgh last night, you know what? Raise the Jolly Roger.
Nice.
They are going to beat St. Louis in
in
5 games. They're going to come down to the wire, and Pittsburgh's going to beat St. Louis.
Get it done.
The Dodgers starting pitching, I don't think Atlanta can hang with them because Atlanta's just too inexperienced in their starting pitching. So I have Dodgers. Well, they'll go 5 games. Kershaw will pick up that 5th game. You know, Dodgers 3, Braves 2. So I have the Pittsburgh Dodgers, you know, in the NLCS here. I really feel, I hate to say it because I know you're going to love it, the Dodgers win in 6. Nice. Unfortunately, I would love to see Pittsburgh go on to the World Series, have an A's Pittsburgh World Series, 2 of the lowest payrolls in baseball. Go at it. But you know what? It's going to be a repeat of 88 with a different outcome because there is no Kirk Gibson. Kirk Gibson, there's no broken guy.
We got Puig now, baby.
Hey,
we'll be there.
Puig Cespedes, battle of the Cubans.
Oh, man. You know what? If that happens, we're going. We have to go.
We have to go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We will be. You will see us on TV. I swear. Well, I don't know if we'll get in the front of the stadium, but we're going to that game. And now I hope your prediction's right. In fact, I want to cross off Boston and put Oakland. So
there we
I can go watch my boys in blue do it live.
But
nice prediction, man.
It's going to be Oakland 4. Dodgers 0. Sweep!
Oh, you set my boys up for the sweep. I shouldn't be surprised. Either way, you got our playoff predictions here. Pretty similar, and I think there's a chance that any of these teams could beat us this year.
Yep.
This is one of those years where there's really a lot of teams who could find a way to get late in October and find a way to the World Series, and you've checked out our predictions. So, man,
I do want to say one more thing. I want to tip my hat to Bud Selig. Last year will be his last season as commissioner, but he has brought the game of baseball back to the fans. He is Look at all the teams. Pittsburgh's back in the playoffs. St. Louis is in every year. Dodgers weren't in last year, but they're in this year.
Oakland too.
Oakland's in. Cleveland made the playoffs.
Cleveland.
The Rays are back in it. I don't remember the stat off the top of my head, but I think it was 15 different teams that made the playoffs the past 5 years. That's just saying something to equal out the divisions, give each team a fighting chance. Just look at our predictions now. Each team has a fighting chance. There's not one bad team, not one dominant team like the Yankees in the 90s or the Yankees in the 60s. You know, they weren't dominant teams. Every team has a chance. My hat's off to Bud Selig.
You're right, too. And what's cool is you have different types of teams. You have a team like the Dodgers, who has one of the highest payrolls in baseball, but then you have teams like Oakland, who really don't spend that much money, but they find a way to get quality guys that can bring their A game in, game out. And it's really been a fun year for baseball.
Yes, it has.
And it's been a great year to let us do a show just talking about all the playoffs coming up. So now that we've covered every baseball matchup that we can basically bring to you, we're now going to switch the show over in 1 sec after a commercial break, and next we'll be giving you all of our latest segments on He's a Beast, Say What, and all the other good segments coming to you soon after this commercial break.
Hello everyone, Ashley Lyons here at the Solana Community College Broadcasting Studio. I'm here to tell you about a great event coming up this October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The 5th annual Bunco Goes Pink will be held October 19th here at Solana Community College in the 1400 building. The gates open at 1 o'clock and the games begin at 2. The pre-sale tickets are $20 or you can buy tickets at the door for $25. If you're interested in buying a pre-sale ticket, you can contact Trish Myers at 707-864-7000 and her extension is 7197, or you can contact JJ at the extension 4400. You can also email buncogoespink@yahoo.com or find them on Facebook. So come join us for this great event for a great cause. All proceeds will go to the Breast Cancer National the National Breast Cancer Foundation. Eat, win prizes, play games, and support a great cause. Thank you, and have a very pink October.
We are back, and we are here for the funnest part of the show. I don't have my partner in crime, Zach Poff, but I got someone even more entertaining, my boy Stosh, ready to bring in the segments with me. Let's get it started, because I can't wait to make fun of this scrub. Now, one thing I've been dealing with this year is dealing with bad coaches, and there's nothing better when a bad coach finally gets let go. My good job, good effort goes out to Lane Kiffin. Now, Lane, you've ruined my life numerous times. I used to be a Raiders fan, and guess what? You ruined my life then. And then you decided, no, I'm not going to be done messing with you, Jake. I'm going to go to the USC, the team I'm named after. My middle name is Troy. And you ruined my middle name for pretty much 2 years. But guess what? Good job, good effort on your coaching career, because you are gone. You are gone, and you better never come back to any team I like. Good job, good effort to Lane Kiffin in your coaching career. Here's some fun stats for you guys. Lane Kiffin's coaching career in the NFL, 5-15. Now, my math's pretty off, but that can't be over 200%, meaning you're a loser. And guess what? Oh, you go to the, college career, not too bad. Okay, you're 35-21. The funny thing is that every important game on there is one of your 21 losses. Lane Kiffin, you're a loser. You're a baby. You know nothing about the NFL. Why don't you try coaching high school and suck at that and don't mess with my teams ever again? Good job. Good effort. Peace. I've been waiting to get that off my chest.
I can tell.
The one guy I could see not in the background was Big Kahuna, because we have just been suffering dealing with this little whiny baby. Who's your good job, good effort, man?
You feel a little better now?
I feel a lot better.
Okay.
A lot better.
You know what? This one just puts a big old smile on my face. Thank you. My good job, good effort goes out to the Texas Rangers.
Nice.
Or I should call it the Texas Chokers over here.
Yeah, get the rival.
2010, make it to the World Series. I was actually pulling for them to beat the Giants. They put so much burden on me, getting so much crap talked to me by these stupid Giants fans. You know what?
Yeah.
I had to go through torture. The next year, they make it back. They choke again against the Cardinals. Couldn't even represent the AL again. Last year, 6.5 game lead with 8 games to play over my Oakland A's. They dwindled that lead all the way down, came to game 162. Josh Hamilton dropping the ball. I was there. Never forget that. And this year, go all the way to the end of the season, tie with the Rays, go to game 163 in Texas, and choke again in your own ballpark. It's not Ron Washington's fault at all. He's a great manager. Has to go down with the steroid-using Nelson Cruz. Has to go down with the rest of their lineup that just can't seem to hold up at the end of the year. Good job. Good effort. Thank you, Texas. You guys still choke.
And the Garza trade didn't work out too well either.
Oh, hey, I got flipped off by Matt Garza last time I went to the game. That was actually pretty funny.
Hey, Garza, you choked too, buddy. Nice job. Way to rack my boy over here. Okay. Now that we've gone over good job, good effort, we have to get to the next segment of the show, and this is my favorite section, because this is where I get pumped up, baby. He's a beast. Well, go ahead, Stosh. Who's your beast this week, man? Lay it on me, brother.
My beast has to go from my favorite team, my Niners. Their running back, Frank Gore.
Yeah.
He had some choice words with Coach Harbaugh after that loss to Indianapolis at home, saying, I want the ball.
Give me the ball.
He got the ball this game against St. Louis, 153 rushing yards and a touchdown, which propelled the Niners offense to get the ball moving. Blew out St. Louis, got on track, gave Kaepernick a little break. So my beast goes out to Frank Gore, because guess what? He's a beast!
Rack him, baby. Yeah, Frank Gore definitely did his work. I'm going to switch it up. Since we've been talking so much baseball, I figured I'd mention a beast who's wearing a mitt. Now, this guy walked to the mound, and you know what his nickname is? Ace of Hearts, because he's the ace for the Tampa Bay Rays, and he's got heart. When you go 9 innings in a game, you must win to get a taste of October, and you go 9 innings, 2 runs, 7 hits, only 1 walk, and struck out 4. You're a beast, David Price, when you can step up for your team, and when your team says, here's the ball, champ, get the job done for us, and you go in there and bring fire, bring heat, and bring the game over and win it, you're a beast in my book. David Price, put money behind his name, because you can't put a price on that money. He's a beast. Bam, rack it.
Yeah, that was a good beast right there. I like that one.
When you're clutch and do things for your team when you have to, you got to get the beast roll, and I had to rack him this week.
And whenever he played in Texas, he was 0-6 in his career with a ridiculous ERA. And just shoving it to Texas, I mean, it put a big old smile on my face. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
God.
I know you like
I
it,
love
too.
it. I love it.
He was able to let you do your, good job, good effort.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win for both
Thank
of
you,
us.
David Price. You are
Bam.
a beast.
All right. Well, now we've gone over beast and good job, good effort. Let's get to our next section. Now we're going to talk about winners and losers. Let's start with the losers because it's always fun to make fun of the losers before we give props to the winners. My 3 losers this week, you touched on it earlier. When you go from the division favorite, like the Texas Rangers, the favorite of the AL, to not even making the playoffs, guess what that makes you? A loser. Texas is loser number 1. Loser number 2, the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I know we've been talking a lot of baseball, but to everyone picked Atlanta to win the division this year. Right now, they're sitting at 1-3 with New Orleans, who is undefeated. Atlanta, you better start winning before you don't make the playoffs and things really get in trouble for you, especially now that Tony Gonzalez will retire after this year. Atlanta, loser number 2, and loser number 3. Shout out to my little bro since he can't be here, but I can still make fun of his Tampa Bay Bucks. The Bucks are a train wreck right now. Greg Schiano will be gone soon. He'll be chilling with Lane Kiffin. They should go coach a team together. That would be a train wreck ready to happen. Loser number 3, Tampa Bay Bucks, 0-4. And what's funny is that division is now the Saints all day, every day. Loser number 3, Tampa Bay.
I'd like to add in a loser here to you. The Washington Redskins.
Nice.
RG3. He had that, terrible injury at the end of the season last year. He tried to rush his process, and now he's out there, and they're just laying goose eggs all over the field.
Yeah.
They were favored to take the NFC East, which is now the worst division in football.
Clearly.
With, Philadelphia.
The Giants.
The
who
Giants.
Arguably maybe the
Eagles.
worst team. Well, Jacksonville's got that.
Jacksonville has that pretty locked up. We saw that week 2, Raiders-Jacksonville, who was the worst team. Raiders were second, Jacksonville first.
Yeah. Either way.
They're
losers.
Redskins, I'm sorry. You guys are losers.
Bam.
RG3, sit the bench, get your knee healthy, come back next year, have a stellar career, hope for the best for you. But right now, you stink.
Bam. Nice little graphic.
Yeah, you like that? You like that?
All right, loser number 2. Or is that just your...
I'm going with one.
We're triple loser on that one. We'll just call for all 3. Now we've covered some losers for you. Let's get to some winners. Winner number 1, I already mentioned how this guy's a beast, the Tampa Bay Rays. Not only did they win that game just to get into the playoffs, I believe they won 6 of their last 8, 14 of their last 19. They did what they had to. They literally defined winning because they had to win just to get a chance to keep playing. They did that. Winner number 1, give me the Rays. Winner number 2, I touched on this already, the New Orleans Saints. When you have your head coach back, you have everything back. The Saints look like they're on fire, and they look like they're ready to compete for another Super Bowl. Got to give the Saints props being undefeated and taking a big lead in that division. The next team to them is Carolina, Atlanta, 1-2. And winner number 3, the Seattle Seahawks. This team is dirty. This team is nasty, and they are a gritty team that finds ways to win. They had a huge win in Houston, still undefeated, and the biggest thing of all for that win, if they keep winning games on the road, Niner fans, watch out. It's going to be an ugly year.
You're making me feel sad
Hey,
over here.
you got to give props where it's due, man, and Seattle has some props due.
You know what? One of my winners, they did lose on Monday night this Monday to the New Orleans Saints, but the Miami Dolphins.
Nice. Give the Dolphins
Ryan
love.
Tannehill. Nobody's giving him love over there.
They need it. They love it.
What they're doing over there is unbelievable. Start out the season 3-0. They played a good game against the Saints, but hey, Coach Payton coming back, that's just unbelievable.
Not many people are going to win in that stadium either.
Exactly.
It's really, the Saints are close to Seattle's. You're going to get to home field advantage.
And you know what? I'm going to go with another winner. Oh, and it just slipped my mind.
There is a winner out there. We'll
there
find him
is it.
eventually.
There is it. No, I can't think of him.
Either way, Miami is a great winner, and I agree with you. No one called Miami. In fact, no one even thought that division could win other than New England. There's been some teams doing some damage there. Miami's been ahead of the pack.
Here we go. I just remembered it. The Denver Broncos,
Nice.
Peyton
Not
Manning,
nice, but-
Demarius Thomas, No-Show Marino. I'm sorry, No Sean Marino. I call him No-Show.
You just named your old fantasy team. No wonder
Wes
you love
Welker,
them.
exactly. Hey,
Yeah.
they keep putting up points. I'm 3-1 on the year. My only loss became from advice from this guy. So never take advice from him for fantasy. No matter what he says that sounds good, you will lose. It's the Poff curse, I swear.
Yeah, no, you're probably right.
I think
But
I'll add that to my other loser right here.
that is a good winner. When that team wins and lets you win in fantasy, I guess they should be qualified as a winner. So now you have our winners and losers. We only have one thing left. This is a funny segment I had to point out just reading this. One, because it gives props to my boy Kobe. And two, it's just funny to see what basketball players still talk about after they retired. My say what?
Say what?
Has to go to Mr. MJ. Now, we all know MJ likes to run his mouth here and there, and if for you guys who haven't heard this, the new NBA 2K14 came out, and MJ had some nice comments or crazy comments that he stated. Quote, unquote, here's what Michael Jordan said. Michael Jordan, quote, said he could beat anyone one-on-one except the Mamba. That's right, but he also said the only reason the Mamba couldn't beat him is because he stole his moves. Well, that's pretty funny, MJ. I kind of think LeBron may dunk on you nowadays, but for you to just call out players, I'm all about that all day, every day. And I'm all about you admitting Mr. Mamba still can sink his teeth into you and maybe even beat you in a one-on-one game. So say what, MJ?
Hey, you know what? Mama did come out and tweet and said, you know what goes around comes around. You know, I stole some moves from you. This generation stole the moves from me.
Kevin Durant, guys like that are
exactly.
that.
LeBron James took over Kobe.
Yeah.
You know what? Still, Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time, hands down, because guess what? He saved the Looney Tunes.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what? So
if you say Bugs Bunny, I guess.
Bugs Bunny, you got to love Bugs Bunny.
Well, that is pretty much our show. Now you guys have a good idea of what is going to happen in October. You got a good idea of our predictions, and hopefully, you'll be able to catch me and Stosh at the Oakland Stadium when the Dodgers and Oakland play each other in the World Series. I'm Jake Poff, here with my partner, replacing Zach Poff, Mr. Stosh, bringing you A-game all day, still trying to rep his A's.
All day,
LA all day, baby.
Oakland all day, baby.
Another
Let's go
episode of
Oakland.
Pop Pass. We are out. You can catch us next week or bringing you the latest updates on all sports action.